headlines at this hour on VTV News. Party Central Committee convenes 11th plenum. And global stocks surge after 90-day pause announced for most countries. Vietnam and the U.S. to negotiate reciprocal trade agreement.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello, it's 3 p.m. local time and you're watching VTV News. I'm Huyền Trân with the top stories. The 11th plenum of the 13th Party Central Committee opened in Hanoi on Thursday. Party General Secretary Tô Lâm chaired the meeting and delivered the opening speech. More on this in the following.
In his opening speech, the Party General Secretary emphasized that the reorganization of administrative units is a historically significant project. This work aims to better serve the people with a vision spanning at least 100 years.
The rearrangement of administrative units and two-level local administrations must result in 34 provinces and cities, eliminating the district level and reducing commune-level administrative units by approximately 50%. The highest priority involves ensuring that commune-level authorities are close to the people and capable of addressing their needs. While the initial target is around 50%, the Central Committee will deliberate on what is most appropriate. If it is feasible and effective, reductions could reach 60 to 70%, depending on each locality's management capacity and conditions. The Politburo's proposal will be carefully considered and ultimately decided upon by the Central Committee.
In preparation for the 14th National Party Congress, the Politburo has directed a comprehensive review and update of policies crucial to national development.
Higher standards are being placed on the qualifications and capabilities of authorities, especially strategic-level personnel. Personnel planning must begin early and continue to evolve leading up to the 14th Congress. The Politburo has directed a review and update of the draft guidelines for personnel work within the 14th Central Executive Committee in alignment with the new organizational structure.
The Politburo has submitted to the Central Committee its proposed plan for electing deputies to the 16th National Assembly and People's Councils at all levels for the 2026 to 2031 tenure. The plenum is scheduled to run until April 12th.
At the request of New Zealand, Prime Minister Phie held a phone conversation with New Zealand Prime Minister Christopher Luxon on Thursday morning to discuss bilateral relations and issues of mutual interest. During the call, Prime Minister Phie once again expressed his appreciation for the results of Prime Minister Luxon's official visit to Vietnam in February 2025, particularly the upgrade of bilateral ties to a comprehensive strategic partnership. Addressing recent developments in the global economic and trade landscape, the Vietnamese Prime Minister affirmed that Vietnam will maintain a calm, measured, and flexible approach. The country upholds the principle of proactive dialogue and cooperation with international partners, while also implementing supportive measures for businesses. The current global situation is viewed as an opportunity for Vietnam to diversify markets and restructure to a green and sustainable economy. Now turning to updates on the U.S. tariff situation, U.S. President Donald Trump announced a 3-month pause on reciprocal tariffs for over 75 countries and territories currently engaged in trade negotiations with the United States, though the 10% retaliatory tariff remains. Tariffs on China were raised to 125%. And after the announcement, U.S. and Asia-Pacific stock markets hit record highs.
Japan's Nikkei stock index increased by 7.9%, while China's major stock indexes also increased by 1.3 to 2.7%. Other markets in Asia-Pacific all recorded strong increases. Meanwhile, in the U.S., the Wall Street stock market witnessed a historic trading session, with the Dow Jones Index increasing by 7.87%. The oil market also responded positively with a 4% increase. The WTI oil price increased to $62.35 per barrel.
And looking at another aspect of this ongoing issue, Deputy Prime Minister Hồ Đức Phước, in his capacity as Special Envoy of Party General Secretary Tô Lâm, met with U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer to discuss bilateral economic and trade matters on Wednesday night. The Vietnamese Deputy Prime Minister affirmed that Vietnam wishes to work with relevant U.S. agencies to concretize the outcomes of the recent exchange between the Party General Secretary Tô Lâm and U.S. President Donald Trump on April 4th. He proposed both sides should promptly begin negotiations toward a bilateral trade agreement despite the tariff imposition delay. The United States appreciates Vietnam's constructive efforts and agreed to initiate negotiations on a reciprocal trade agreement, including tariff-related matters. Meanwhile, China's Ministry of Finance announced that the country will impose additional tariffs of up to 84% on goods imported from the United States. And this tax rate is a sharp increase from the previously announced 34%. In addition, China decided to add 12 U.S. entities to the export control list. The spokesperson of China's Ministry of Finance also said that the country has filed a complaint against the U.S. with the World Trade Organization WTO. China has repeatedly stated that the U.S.'s move to increase tariffs on Chinese goods based on international rules is a mistake that undermines the multilateral trading system. And the changes in U.S. new tariff policy has also prompted actions from ASEAN countries. A special ASEAN economic ministers meeting on the new U.S. tariff policy was held Thursday morning via video conference. The meeting was ASEAN's prompt and timely response to recent changes in U.S. trade policy. The U.S. government has announced two new measures, a 10% baseline retaliatory import tariff on all goods, effective April 5, 2025, and additional tariffs for countries with large trade deficit with the U.S., starting April 9, 2025. The meeting concluded with a joint statement that reaffirmed ASEAN's unified position. It pledged to safeguard regional supply chains, support small and medium-sized enterprises, and uphold the multilateral trading system. And in a similar vein, Vietnamese exporters are also seeking ways to respond to potential challenges caused by United States trade policies. Such situation demands resilience and a measured response. However, with 17 free trade agreements in place and ongoing negotiations with potential markets, this period offers Vietnamese enterprises a valuable opportunity to diversify their export markets.
The company has been hit hard by U.S. trade policies, with its export volume to the market expected to drop 20%. Their strategy is to gauge market reactions and test American consumers' acceptance of new pricing. The company is actively expanding into other markets, including Australia and New Zealand.
The New Zealand market is new for our grapefruit and seedless lemon products, but consumption has been a surprise. Our passion fruit products are gaining traction in Australia as well.
The recent activation of the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement between Vietnam and the United Arab Emirates has opened up significant opportunities in this vast market for Vietnamese seafood exporters.
We are given access to the Middle East market via the UAE. This marks a promising development. We believe the Middle East will become an increasingly important focus for the sector in the coming years.
Growth of export for at least for the Vietnamese side, and also the investment, EU investment, because of course we are also investing.
According to the Ministry of Industry and Trade, Vietnam has only utilized about 30% of the potential from its FTAs. Recently, the ministry introduced an FTA index, reflecting its ongoing efforts to streamline administrative reforms and provide businesses with the support needed to fully leverage FTA opportunities.
Looking at the bigger picture, the World Trade Organization chief warned on Wednesday that U.S.-China tariff tensions could reduce trade in goods between the two economic giants by 80%, pulling down the rest of the global economy. According to the WTO, the U.S. and China account for 3% of world trade, and escalating tensions between them could severely damage the global economic outlook. The WTO cautioned that splitting the global economy into two blocks might lead to a long-term reduction in global real GDP by nearly 7%. In response, the WTO has called on all members to address this challenge through cooperation and dialogue to preserve the openness of the international trading system. Before moving on to some other news, let's take a look at the foreign exchange rate for today, April 10th. Coming up next on VTV News. Vietnam's pepper exports surge as global demand rises. And Vietnam implements strict measures to protect marine mammals. Welcome back to VTV News. Now, the first quarter's economic performance saw a decline in export volume of many agricultural products, yet export values rose significantly. This reflects notable improvement in product quality. Pepper exemplifies this trend, recording a 38% increase in export value compared to the same period last year.
After processing, pepper products undergo screening in a state-of-the-art German metal detector that can remove even the tiniest metal fragments. Before this step, raw materials are sterilized using Dutch steam technology.
This year's harvest is delayed, so activities will gradually pick up starting in April. We anticipate good sales this month.
With declining pepper inventories, prices are expected to rise steadily throughout the year. The United States and China continue to be the two largest consumer markets.
During the conference, I don't worry too much about tariff because no matter what, everybody has to eat spices. Otherwise, no taste for the food. You cannot have a delicious food. So that's coming from a lot from the black pepper.
There is no official information about the U.S. tax rate on pepper and spices, except for a confirmed minimum 10% tariff. As a result, exporters must remain proactive and diversify their markets.
In terms of requirements, we can see that overseas requirement is getting more strict, not only on the quality aspect, but also on matters like sustainability, especially from Europe.
Brazil has emerged as Vietnam's main competitor in the pepper market by undercutting prices and swiftly adopting new technologies. This intensifying competition underscores Vietnam's need to invest in science and technology to maintain and expand its market share.
And building on the earlier report, we take a closer look at another agricultural export case. Banana has overtaken durian to become Vietnam's second largest fruit export in the first quarter of this year, with export value reached nearly $72 million. This shift is partly due to stricter import requirements currently imposed on durians. Vietnamese bananas are making significant strides in the global market, with exports reaching over 135 countries. Major importers include China, South Korea, Japan, the United States, and Singapore. Vietnam has also surpassed the Philippines to become the largest banana supplier to the Chinese market. In 2024 alone, Vietnam exported 625,000 tons of bananas to China, accounting for 37% of the country's total banana imports. In other local news, Tây Ninh is implementing multiple measures to prevent forest fires during this year's dry season, especially in forested border areas. Lò Gò Sa Mát National Park is the main focus, covering 30,000 hectares of forest with a 50-kilometer border with Cambodia. Currently, 7 to 10 key areas face high risks of forest fires. Firefighting equipment and specialized personnel are being enhanced and remain ready for deployment. The firefighting units will develop suitable plans to combat fires across various forest types, including grassland, planted forest, and natural forest. The Ning's Provincial Forest Protection Department has developed plans to inspect and monitor residents' fire prevention efforts. The Vietnamese seafood sector faces a new technical barrier from the U.S., the Marine Mammal Protection Act, which affects 12 fishing occupations. Products from these occupations will be banned from U.S. imports starting January 1, 2026, if they fail to meet the requirements. Vietnam plans to implement stronger measures to meet international standards while also ensuring sustainable production of its marine resources.
When whales die and are washed ashore, fishermen bury and worship them in special sites called whale god tombs. In these tombs, whale skeletons remain preserved, reflecting the fishermen's deep respect and admiration. This protection of whales and other sea creatures stems from beliefs dating back thousands of years.
Fishermen have pagodas and temples to worship the whale god. We've done it for many years.
While fishermen have always been mindful of protecting marine mammals during their activities, the new requirements mandate stricter protective measures. Recently, the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration has asked Vietnam to provide urgent evidence and progress reports on implementing management plans for 12 fishing occupations, including tuna fishing. Since the U.S. market accounts for 35% of Vietnam's total tuna export turnover over the past decade, these marine mammal protection regulations present a significant challenge for Vietnam's seafood exports to the U.S.
When marine animals become entangled in nets, we must free them and release them back to sea. It's important for fishermen to document these incidents as evidence. We can also install dolphin-repelling devices to prevent mammals from becoming entangled in nets.
Recently, Vietnam has provided updated evidence and implementation results to demonstrate compliance with U.S. fishery requirements. Meanwhile, fishermen have strengthened their marine animal protection measures to overcome export barriers.
In related news, the elephant species and habitat conservation area is gradually restoring the habitat for the last remaining wild Asian elephants. The reserve, established 8 years ago in Quảng Nam, covers 19,000 hectares, with 13,000 hectares designated as a strictly protected area for elephants. And beyond this primary mission, the reserve also supports livelihoods for people living in the buffer zone.
The Quảng Nam Elephant Species and Habitat Conservation Area spans an area twice the size of Tam Kỳ City. A team of 60 reserve staff members takes daily turns patrolling the forest and monitoring elephant movements throughout the conservation area. Staff report that since the restoration of the elephant habitat, wild elephants rarely venture into villages to damage crops as they did previously. Having recently detected elephant presence in this area, the reserve staff has installed camera traps to track their activity.
Camera traps are usually set for 3 months. For elephants that destroy crops, we will set up camera traps and check after 7 days. To track the elephant trail, we will check the camera traps every 15 days to 1 month.
Through monitoring and camera traps, we have recorded new baby elephants. It's a good sign. However, to be sure, we will wait for more results from the camera trap system.
According to the head of the Quảng Nam Elephant Species and Habitat Conservation Area, the herd currently consists of 8 elephants, including a young elephant. This represents a healthy Asian elephant population with a well-structured and growing herd. The conservation area has implemented strict measures prohibiting forest entry to ensure the herd's safety. The forest rangers have also restored hundreds of hectares of forest habitat.
Coming up next on VTV News. The 8th Vietnam International Choir Competition kicks off. And Victoria Bond in Vietnam music video spotlights Ha Long Bay's beauty. We return with updates on preparation for the 50th anniversary of the liberation of the South and national reunification. One of the most anticipated highlights is a flag-raising maneuver. The Vietnam Air Force is conducting a rehearsal for the performance at the Bien Hoa Airport. Let's take a look.
Regiment 917 pilots have undergone intensive training, and they are determined to showcase the skill and professionalism of the Vietnam People's Air Force at the national celebration.
It's a great honor for me. I've been practicing my skills and can confidently perform this duty.
The Air Force considers being assigned to perform the demonstration flight a great honor and a solemn responsibility.
As the plan was issued, we recognized the significance of the mission. All units and forces mobilized promptly, ensuring thorough preparation of personnel, equipment, and resources.
Technical precision is paramount in preparing pilots and flight plans. Every aircraft, component, and system is inspected before each takeoff to ensure synchronization and safety.
We conduct meticulous equipment checks, promptly identifying issues to guarantee absolute flight safety.
The flight demonstrates the disciplined strength, unyielding spirit, and combat capabilities of the Vietnam People's Army.
Over 1,000 international choral artists have gathered in Hội An to compete in the 8th Vietnam International Choir Competition, which officially opened Wednesday night. The competition welcomes 29 choral groups from 9 countries: Canada, Poland, South Korea, Singapore, Thailand, the Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Vietnam. Participants will compete in 11 disciplines across 7 categories, and each performance must meet rigorous technical standards while showcasing the unique cultural identity of its participating nation. Now, the images behind me are scenes from a newly released music video featuring the renowned string quartet Bond performing in Ha Long Bay, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The production, coordinated by the People's newspaper and titled Victory, Bond in Vietnam, captures the bay's iconic scenes, from sunrise over the sea to daily life in fishing villages, including stunning views of the Chom Mai Islets and Cat One Beach. This collaboration with the celebrated music group helps showcase Vietnam's natural beauty and cultural heritage to the world. In a posh Parisian nightclub not far from the Champs-Élysées, dozens of mostly middle-aged women take to the dance floor with barely a man in sight. And this is a trend that is becoming increasingly popular in European countries, where women find freedom and comfort after work hours.
This event is called Diva and is held for women only, with most attendees being mothers. Here, they can eat, drink, dance, and chat freely. Only the bartenders and entertainers are men.
I think the husbands are really happy and not jealous because they know their wives are just dancing with their friends. After the parties, I believe that when they go home, the women feel relaxed and are in a much better mood.
The women-only club provides a fun environment for its patrons while giving their husbands peace of mind.
There are no men, which means we are much more relaxed. There is no judgment, no worries about our appearance. There is a great sense of sisterhood between us all. We are not here to be flirted with. We are just here to have fun and party from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m.
No one was watching and judging us, so I enjoyed the event very much. I felt very free.
For 45 euros, guests enjoy drinks and a light buffet featuring salmon, fruit, cherry tomatoes, and macarons. The party wraps up at 11 p.m. Similar women-only nightclubs have emerged across Europe, including Mom Goes Dancing in Berlin and Mother's Club in London.
And as usual, let's move on to the weather forecast. And that's all the news we have for this hour. To rewatch our program, you can download our mobile app VTVgo from App Store or Google Play, or tune in our YouTube channel at youtube.com/VTV4Go. Thank you for watching and see you next time.